What do you call an elf on the shelf that just won the lottery? Wealthy. Welcome to Comic Book Editions Volume 223. It's an all DC Comics haul in today's video, including an unboxing. I'm so happy that you're here for it, and welcome. It was back in July that I pre-ordered the 1982 DC Style Guide Facsimile from Standards Manual, which was the company that produced it. It arrived about 2 hours ago, and I'm unboxing it right now. First and foremost, I was so excited that this was available. I, along with many other fans, had been waiting to get our hands on a copy of this. And back in the day, I actually priced some original ones on eBay, thinking I wanted to get this into my collection. But it always turned out to be just a little bit more expensive than what I wanted to go, or what I wanted to pay for it. So when this Facsimile was announced, I was super excited and wasted no time in pre-ordering it. I know they've had a little bit of delays from when they initially thought that it would be in the hands of the public, but as I've read on 13th Dimension, which is a website that I love, 13thdimension.com, all the delays were to make sure that everything was perfect. So I'm expecting perfection. Oh, I'm just so glad that it's here. This is probably old news by now because I'm sure I've shown it on Fanboys Live in the Retro Review this past Sunday, and I've probably already shown it on Instagram. But what you get today is my first initial reaction to seeing the style guide. Ooh, it's here. Oh my gosh, there it is. My first thought was, and I knew this just from the box, it's so much bigger than I expected it to be. Insert that's what. If I'm remembering correctly, originally the style guide was done as a binder with pages that were removable, loose leaf pages that were removable. And this is kind of an amalgam from what I've read of several style guides, because the style guide, which originally started in 1982, Garcia-Lopez doing the art on those, evolved a little bit too. So this has pages that were added from updates to the style guide all the way up from 82 through 85. And we've got the belly band, this removable belly band. That's a new term to me that I learned on the Standards Manual website. 168 pages of complete goodness. And we got the wraparound on the back too. The only thing that would make this thing better is to have a signed copy by Garcia-Lopez. I don't think he's coming anywhere in my area. Maybe one of my friends might be seeing him at a convention, and I mean, it's a heavy book and then have to lug this around. Maybe I can talk them into getting a sig on it for me, because that would be pretty freaking amazing. I'm so happy that DC Comics has embraced this, and earlier this year they did like a whole month-long variant covers of Garcia-Lopez artwork from the style guide. And I bought each one of those covers too. I thought that was awesome. And I can't wait to open this up into this and just enjoy it. I know that there's new interviews in here. I think Paul Levitz wrote an introduction to the book as well and kind of talked about the purpose of this book, which essentially, if I understood correctly, it was to assist licensees in delivering a consistent look with this superhero merchandise. It also was a reference guide to other artists working on DC Comics projects. That was my understanding of what the purpose of the style guide was initially. And, you know, some of this artwork has been used, and because it's just fantastic, even all these decades later, especially with retro being so in vogue. Some of this artwork has been used and still continues to be used, and you can easily understand why. But I think there's some artwork in here too that doesn't get the love and attention that it deserves. So I can't wait to go through all 368 pages of this and just love this from beginning to end. This was so worth it. And if you've from your LCS. I'm sure that yours will be arriving soon. I'm just, first of all, I was surprised to actually get this book because it came FedEx on a Sunday. So usually I'm not expecting any type of delivery on a Sunday, but this past weekend, this past Sunday, certainly did not disappoint with my DC Comics Style Guide finally in hand. So excited and so happy for this. Can't stress it enough. And I absolutely love that we got the Super Juniors, at least Superman and Baby Wonder Woman up in the corner. I think the DC Bullet logo, from what I read too, is pretty much only used on the cover. I don't think the logo, which I love the fact that they're using a variation of that logo again now. I think that's so classic. I don't think the logo gets its own page, but just going to enjoy it on the front and on the side as well. So the DC Comics Style Guide, a dream come true for comic book fans like myself, finally in my hands, and I couldn't be happier. Now that's a great way and a great unboxing to start out this Comic Book Editions Volume 223 video, don't you think? I have many other DC Comics related things that I've recently added into my collection to share with you. I will tell you, if you subscribe to my channel, I would love the support. By clicking the notification bell, you'll know when new content is added to my channel. Share this video of the channel with someone that might enjoy it. It's another great way to show support, and the algorithm loves it. When you give the video a thumbs up, a like, and a heart, I love reading your comments, which I'll be asking for at the end of today's video. So thanks ahead for all of the support that you give me and continue to provide to me. I certainly don't take it for granted. Let's jump over to Half Price Books. This was a complete impulse purchase for me during a recent Half Price Books trip. Detective Comics 559 from volume number 1. We have a Brian Bolin cover and Gene Colan doing the interior art. So this was published in 1986. I've talked about this in prior videos before. This is such an interesting period because it's after Crisis, but it's still the pre-Crisis Batman, for whatever reason, hasn't caught up to the Crisis. But Green Arrow and Black Canary that he's interacting with are the post-Crisis versions. It sounds very confusing, doesn't it? Essentially, the story is about Batman's going to stop this villain. He's actually like a burglar. And Green Arrow stops Batman from stopping the burglar because he says he just stole some information that's going to be vital to proving innocence in a case in Star City. Of course, Batman doesn't like Green Arrow telling him what to do. So Batman and Catwoman and Green Arrow and Black Canary eventually team up, and Batman decides he will take the case in Star City, which Green Arrow doesn't like hearing that. And Green Arrow and Black Canary will take the Gotham City case. So that's kind of essentially what the story's about. I just thought the cover was too good to resist, and that's why I wanted to pick it up. Plus, I felt that I really should show some love because it is hashtag Dark Knight December. Got to show some Batman love in the month of December. So I wanted to do that in today's video. Also with this Half Price Books, I am not a role player. I never got into the role playing. I tried when it was a brand new concept back in the 80s, just could not get into it. You know, being an only child, that you didn't have anyone else to play with either, so that didn't help. But here is a role-playing module. It's the DC Heroes role-playing module, and this is number 217, which is King of the Crimes. From the way I understand it, King of the Crimes is taking place after Flash dies in Crisis, and the Secret Society of Supervillains is wanting to recruit, since there's no Flash to stand in their way, and some of the wannabes to join the Secret Society include the 4 on the cover. So we got the Pied Piper, Mirror Master, Captain Cold, and of course Cheetah. It's the Debbie Domain Cheetah, which might be my favorite Cheetah. You know, I show a lot of love to her. She certainly didn't get used near to the potential that she could have. And to see her, she only made just a brief handful of appearances. So to see her in something outside of a traditional comic book, because this is not a comic book, it's role-playing instructions inside of this game, was a can't miss. Actually, I knew about this for a while, that this was in this Half Price Books, but I forgot about it because they didn't have it right in the comic section. They had it on a shelf close to the comic section that I don't always check out. That usually has trades on, and I most of the time don't look at the trades. And when I went over there and saw this again and saw the Debbie domain, I'm like, yep, got to have it for the collection. Absolutely, 100% have to have it for the collection. And now I do. But I didn't stop with that one. Since I'm working on my Justice League run, I thought that this was perfect to add in. So Mayfair Games did the first tabletop role-playing games for DC Comics and their characters in the DC Universe in 1985, and this was part of that first wave. I think there were 3 waves that ended up eventually getting released. So this is from 1985. It's Siege with the Justice League. They did a second set in 1989 where they updated the rules and released those. And then in 1993, the final edition was released that kind of tied into the death of Superman and the reign of the Superman storylines, which was such a hot topic at that time. And I think a different company, Pulsar Games, did that final set. Of course, right now you might have seen too that Cryptozoic Entertainment has got a Kickstarter and they're doing facsimile versions of these role-playing games, which is kind of cool. Like I said, if you're into role-playing games, I myself just buying these for the cover art because I love this cover art and haven't seen this cover art before. I am and have been aware for quite some time that there is a Wonder Woman oriented one that I want to get. I think it's called Strangers in Paradise. And that is one that I want to get an original for that into my collection at some time too. And, you know, maybe some other ones that have Wonder Woman on the cover as well, kind of like this Justice League one does. I did get my friend Andre in Brazil a Teen Titans one too that I gave to him back in November, back last month when he was visiting. So just something a little bit different for my collection that I'm adding in strictly just for the art purposes of it. One thing that I do want to remind you about too, since I'm talking about the Justice League, is my monthly show that I do with John's Comics with Kids, JLA versus Avengers. And tomorrow night, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, on my YouTube channel is our new edition of that. So we're going to be looking at Silver Age, Justice League and Silver Age Avengers, issue number 7 for both titles. And we'll kind of be comparing in different categories and trying to figure out who has the better issue number 7, the Avengers or Justice League of America. That switches off. 1 month it's on my channel. The next month it's on John's Comics with Kids channel. It's on my channel. If you're watching this outside of its original published date, that's already archived, in the collaborations, I have a JLA versus Avengers playlist folder of all of the videos. But if you can join us live for that tomorrow night on Wednesday night, that would be awesome. We would love to see you in the chat. Another, originally purchased just as a cover buy, Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane, issue number 80. We're going back to 1968 for this. Love this Neil Adams, Kurt Swan cover. And I loved it because, you know, she's ripping the trade dress, part of her trade dress down. She doesn't want to be his girlfriend anymore. She's sick of him. She's frustrated with him. I might use this as a hashtag, sick of your Saturday. In this story, Lois decides, I think she moves to Florida and takes the name Lois Lane, and she becomes a nurse, and she meets this astronaut, and she falls in love with him. Of course, then Superman isn't happy that she's not around in his life anymore and causes a little bit of chaos. Such a great, well-written story, but what I didn't know, it continues into the next issue, which is issue 81, and I don't have that. Rest assured, getting issue 81 will be a 2025 priority for me in my collection. That's the one where Lois is in outer space and there's some super dickery going on because he's unplugging her life support or whatever. He's mad. So I've got to get that issue to see how it ends. Lois fell in love with this astronaut, Rand Kinley, I think it was. And just a good story, and happy to have this one in the collection. Like I said, originally bought it not only because I'm trying to get some Lois Lane comic books, and I do enjoy them, but for her interacting and ripping that girlfriend part of the trade dress. I know a lot of people want this issue in their collection for that too. And it's got the big white background. Not too dirty of a cover on my copy of it, at least. But good stuff. So keep your fingers crossed that'll have issue 81 in the collection in the near future to share with you. Let's switch over to some Wonder Woman incentive covers, and I want to share with you some of the New York Comic Con exclusives. So it was back in Comic Book Editions Volume 215 that I showed you a cropped cover of this, which was going to be an NYCC exclusive that I purchased. It's Adam Hughes cover. This is Wonder Woman Volume 4, issue number 38. Originally, the comic book was published in 2015. I said then, and I still say now, I'm not exactly sure why they picked this specific issue, or from that volume, that's about 9 years old, to use or to be the recipient of these new covers that they decided to add for NYCC. I don't know. This is the full version. Like I said, if you want to see the crop version back in Comic Book Editions Volume 215, you can find that. They didn't stop with just the Adam Hughes. I do like this cover, though, because I like the bright reds on there, too. This is Leirix, the artist, who did a variant for this as an NYCC exclusive. What do you think of this? I would be curious to know, too. Like I said, I like it for the bright color. I like the artwork, too, but I like the bright red. I think it makes it pop a little bit more. And then one other book, another variant, I should say, NYCC exclusive that was also for issue 38 of Wonder Woman, is this David Finch foil. So originally, this was the non-foil, was a variant cover, which was extremely hard to get from day one that it was released. Like back then, that book was selling, on the week it was released, it was selling for $450 to $650 on the week it was released. And even now, you don't see it very often because it was a high incentive and a lot of stores didn't order enough copies to get it. And you got some nice buns going on here on this cover, which also made it a little more in demand. I was very lucky that I have a copy of the original incentive. I could see why they wanted to use this artwork again and foil it up, since 2024 is kind of the year of the foil, and probably 2025 as well. I could see why they would want to reuse this artwork because a lot of fans liked this image and didn't get a chance to have it on a comic book. So I kind of understand that a little bit, why they did that. Sometime I'll have to do a video and just do a comic book memory and tell the story of how I got the original in my hands, because I think it's kind of an interesting story. Not enough time to share it today, but perhaps in the future sometime we will do that. And then more NYCC exclusives. David Nakayama did 2 exclusives. This is actually for the current volume, Volume 6, issue number 14, which at the time of NYCC was the current issue. Like I said, David Nakayama doing 2. He had a regular cover of this that was a variant for issue 14, and then he just did a foil version, with the foil version being an exclusive that he sold. Luckily, before the show, he had a limited number that he opened up to the public, and I was lucky to get my order placed in time, and that sure didn't last long before either it was sold out or they took it down. But I got my set, and that's what made me happy. I had my set before the con even started, so I didn't have to worry about trying to track this one down. And then the other one that he did in this set, in this 2-pack, and I don't think you could buy these separately, I think you had to buy them together as a 2-pack, was this cover. Originally, he did this cover for Wonder Woman Black and Gold, number 6, and it was a 1 in 25 incentive in 2021 when it was originally released. I think he just foiled this one up, and I didn't realize how collectible or how much on the marketplace now some of those covers have gone. I very fortunately have a fantastic LCS that gets these variants, and I get them when they first come out, and then I kind of don't look at the price anymore. And when I started looking at the prices, especially for some of these Wonder Woman Black and Gold variants and a few other spin-off titles that had incentives or variant covers, I was surprised at how much some of these are going for and the demand that there is for them. So I understand re-releasing this one again on a different comic book, because I think there were a lot of people that wanted to have this image. Didn't necessarily care what comic book it was on, just wanted to have the image. And then I want to show a couple incentives that were done for the Wonder Woman Uncovered. This is the 1 in 25 incentive variant, and Danny is the artist for this. There were some great variant covers for this book. So if you're not familiar, Uncovered kind of shows different covers that they used. And with Wonder Woman, they stuck to more recent covers in the last, several years. They didn't go back and show like covers from the gold and silver, bronze age or anything like that. They mostly stuck to covers from volume 6 and volume 5 and maybe volume 4. There might have been some, and collected those together. And they tried to weave like a little story in there on a few different pages, kind of like in this case, it was Cassie and Donna were looking for some photos to provide to the media of Wonder Woman throughout the years. And they were kind of using the covers as photos. So, and kind of grouped them together by category. But I thought this was a great cover. And then we have this one. So this is the 1 in 50 incentive cover, Daniel Samfier, artist, who's the main Wonder Woman artist. So this is just a takeoff of the main cover. So there was the main cover, and then they had a foil version of the main cover, and then this 1 in 50, about the only thing they did is they reduced the trade dress, because it was pretty big up in here. They just kind of reduced the size of the trade dress and then made that the 1 in 50, which to me was a little bit lame. I mean, come on, a 1 in 50. I understand that this is a great piece of art, and I really dig the concept behind it, but come on. Give me a little bit more than just doing that. Matter of fact, I think here within arm's reach, I have so here's the original. So you'll see they just kind of reduced the trade dress down. They didn't even take the barcode off the front too. And also, in case you're wondering, there is the foil version to it as well for issue number 1. I mean, great image, that's for sure, but for an incentive cover, a little bit disappointing if you ask me. For the extra money that you pay for it, just to have the trade dress reduced down. I don't know. Enjoyed the book though, thought it was fun. I want to get some more uncovered. I think there's one specific character that they did an uncovered for that I think I'm going to pick up and add into the collection, and I'm sure next year I'll have that to share with you here on the channel. So speaking of next year, this is my final video of comic book editions for 2024. We did our final Fanboys Live and the Retro Review this past weekend, and we featured a couple of the characters from Creature Commandos, which I have been loving. If you're not watching that, highly recommend that you do, because I didn't think I would enjoy it, really enjoyed it. But this past weekend with Signature King Tony, he and I retro reviewed stories with Frankenstein and with G.I. Robot, both characters in Creature Commandos. So Fanboys is done for the year. This is my final comic book editions video for the year. The back issue of the week YouTube short does continue though. That never seems to take any time off. I've been doing it consecutively. Gosh, I think I'm getting ready to go into, when am I going into? Year number 4, I believe. In January, I'll be going into year number 4. So my current back issue of the week YouTube short is on my channel, and I hope that you will check it out. The short is about Kraven the Hunter. I know a lot of people have been disappointed with the movie that just was released. I show you a comic book where he's not fighting Spider-Man, but fighting a different Marvel character that I think is even a better adversary for him. So learn all about that already on the short that's on my channel. I'm sure I'll probably do something Christmas themed for next week's back issue of the week. In the future of the channel, Varangian Vigilante, Thorsten, he has sent me an AOK that hasn't arrived yet. So that will probably be my comic book editions volume 224 in early 2025. So I'm sure I'll film it at some point when it comes in and then share that as probably my first video when I get back to putting content out. As I'll take about a month off, a month-ish off or so, give or take a week, probably. At least that's the plan right now. And share that with you. I also want to share, I want to do a video where I share some upgrades because I've been buying a few comic books that are upgrades in my collection. Marvel fans, I know you must feel like I'm not buying any Marvel at all anymore, but I have a little bit to share with you, and I want to get back to maybe doing some nice mixes of DC and Marvel in the same video. But I have some Fantastic Four, some Amazing Adventures, Daredevil, those come to mind, Avengers, some of those titles as well to share with you. So that will be coming up. Of course, if I get anything superhero Christmas related as Christmas presents, I'll be sharing those as a Christmas haul. So those are some of the videos that you can expect in 2025 here on my channel. I showed this recently on Fanboys Live in the Retro Review. I got some wrapping paper to wrap some gifts with. We got Wonder Woman and Superman and Green Lantern and Batman on this wrapping paper. So I found this at Target and thought it was pretty awesome. What did you think about everything that I shared today? I would love to know. Please leave me a comment, as your comments are welcomed, encouraged, and appreciated. Thank you for making it to the end of this comic book editions video. Thank you for your friendship all year long. I hope that you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I gotta go wrap some presents and get ready for the big holiday that's coming up. So that's what I'm gonna do. I look forward to seeing you with some new content soon. Remember, the back issue of the week does not stop though. So you'll be able to find that every week, every Monday morning. It drops on my channel. So be looking for that on my channel, even during this downtime for me. But be safe. Have a blessed holiday and a blessed new year. And thank you again for your friendship and watching today. I'll catch you soon. Bye.